one of the biggest influences in my life has been, I might cry, is a friend.
Oh gosh. So what's the next step? So what is your next journey? Because you've helped so many people through their diabetic journey. And
Yes. So my main job for the past 10 years, which I'm still doing, is I help patients with type 1 diabetes. So I've had type 1 for over 40 years, and I have a virtual practice. So if anybody knows somebody struggling with type 1, have them go to my website and I can help you. So I have courses, I have a private program. That has been my career. However, I'm really excited about talking about self-love now. So this is my first self-love interview. So I don't have a self-love website. I don't have a self-love ebook. I'm just starting. So I don't have a self-love program yet. I'm just starting to talk about it because I'm so excited
yet,
about it. Yeah.
I'm so excited. I know from your experience, there's all of your experience that you've had and studies, because you've studied so much and you've traveled so much. And I think here's something that I've noticed from people who travel a lot. Their level of judgment goes down significantly. There's not as much judgment. And I bet that you can make such a huge impact. You were telling me you're visiting sororities and speaking and sharing with women, future women, how
I'm
to
just
love
in the
themselves
process. I
more.
haven't started that. I'm just in the process of contacting them and writing my first self-love talks, because who doesn't need it more than sorority girls?
Well, imagine like you impact those girls. They will, if we learn how to love ourselves in our early
Oh my
20s,
God.
how
Yeah.
would that be different versus in our 50s? I think in our 50s, we call it our give a shitter is gone, right? I think that's what happens in your 50s. You're like, I just don't give a shit anymore. But what if we could love ourselves before we just don't give a
That's
shit?
my whole mission. I'm 51, so I I like to just trust the process. You can't regret, but I wish I had known 30 years ago the value that I feel now. It's taken me this long to feel this level of value. So that is my mission now, is to help people feel it earlier.
Well, if you wouldn't have gone on that journey, you probably couldn't change the lives of the people
I
that you're
trust the
about to
process,
change.
right? Trust the process.
Oh my goodness. So what would you like that to look like? Like, how do you see that looking like? Because you've got the information, you've got the experience.
Speaking all over,
Like,
doing retreats. I envision doing an annual self-love retreat probably in February of every year, somewhere beautiful for women, and being a speaker, holding maybe online group programs, but really being out and being a presenter and being a speaker is my intention. And I frankly think my 3-step process of the triangle is quite brilliant. I'm very excited. I just developed that myself, right? The self-care, the self-compassion, and the self-talk, I think, is because that's really the, when people said you need to love yourself more, I didn't know all those parts. I only knew the self-care part. I didn't know about self-talk or self-compassion. So I think that is a very complete recipe, if you will, for self-love, is those 3 aspects. So I'm super excited. I could write a book. I could start a whole movement. Yeah.
do anything. Okay. Give me a little hint on self-talk. Like, what do you mean by self-talk? I've heard like they're the I am statements, but
Well, listen to what you say in your head all day. Is it nice? If you don't know, start writing it down. Start noticing what your thoughts are, and write it down on a little journal. Uh, how many times do you look in the mirror and say nothing but positive things?
so what would a framework for that be? Like, if I were going to set up a system, let's say I'm not good at self-talk.
Because you are negative, you mean?
I don't know. I tend to be pretty good at self-talk. Well, right now I'm in a season where I'm not in
Okay.
love with my body, right? I'm like, man, I am fat. right? I have put on so much weight in such a short period of time. Like those are the things that I'm like, dang, Bettina, get it together. Or dang, Bettina, like, did you really? Like, how do you expect to get this result by doing this? Like, come on. Really, you went to bed and you didn't do the thing? Like, if you want like those kind of somethings on other areas, like for work, I'm like, dang, I'm killing it. Dang, I'm killing it. But when it comes to that area, I am
Okay.
flopping.
And does that help you? Is that helpful,
Full,
that conversation with yourself?
well, it hasn't worked yet. But historically what has happened is I get so fed up,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
make a plan and I do it, right? And I'm like, I haven't, at what point am I going to get so fed up that I'm going to make a plan and I'm going to do it? And I just have, and I'm like, Bettina, girl, let's go. At what point? Like, how bad does
So
it have to
because you follow
get?
Brendan Bouchard, I know you're into personal development, and my feedback would be it sounds like you're ready to evolve into a new version of yourself that can do that without getting fed up. You can do that from a more mature place of, I don't like feeling this way. I deserve to feel better. What am I going to do about it today? And that's the new evolved you, the new more mature you, and the new more self-loving you. Because the pendulum of gaining weight, hating yourself until you hate yourself so much, then you'll lose it. It sounds like you've then gone back and forth on that pendulum. So that isn't your ideal version of yourself.
So the fact that you've been helping people, essentially saving their lives,
I mean, from a, yes.
right?
Yeah. Type 1. I only work with type 1. I do not work with type 2. So type 1s are always on insulin and generally diagnosed younger. It's not lifestyle related, it's an autoimmune disease. So for some reason, my immune system attacked and killed my insulin producing cells, and we don't know why. It doesn't matter if I lose weight or exercise more, I can't get my body yet to make insulin again. We don't know how to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
my life is dependent on taking insulin injections all throughout the day. So I teach people how to properly manage their insulin dosing and their it's a very so if someone is type 2, I don't work with them. It's a different disease state. They need different needs, different help. Most type 2s aren't on insulin.
So your self-love program that you're going to roll out.
That's where I'm thinking. It's brand new. So I just know I'm really passionate about helping people not learn self-love at 50 and learn it earlier. So I figure I better.
I would like, that framework that he gave us. That's how we wound up here today, was that framework. I left with that framework that day. And we did this, and with those 3 levers and all that
Way
kind
to
of
go.
jazz. I know. And I'm like, Dr. Jody, let's do this. The world needs you. And I have envisioned you when you told me about speaking with sorority women, these young ladies. And I just I thought about my girlfriend's daughter. It's her freshman year at college. And she calls her mom periodically in tears. And I hear this from other moms who have freshman sororities girls. Most of them are freshmen because that's the age that I know. And they go from like, this is amazing. I'm a failure. This is amazing. I can't do this. Like always. And to have the lesson that you can provide to them and to start that foundation.
Yeah. Well, that's why I want to start at the sororities because it's not a big stage and I'm not expecting them to pay me. So I just want to start getting out there and practicing my message and seeing how to craft it, see what hits, see what doesn't, get feedback forms from everybody in the audience. It's the perfect practice field for me. So that's how I'm going to start it. So if you go to drjodynd.com, it's nothing but type 1 diabetes. I am a type 1 diabetes expert. That's what I do. So this self-love thing is brand new, but it's so important.
So how can we connect you? Who would you like to connect with in order to launch that part? Like, Who is it at the sororities that make those decisions?
I'm starting right here. So I'm in Seattle. So I already have a whole list of all the sororities at the University of Washington. So I figured I'd start there because that's a 10-minute drive away for me.
Oh, and have you already scheduled it?
I'm literally just sending out the emails this week. So it's all brand new.
Oh my goodness, I'm excited. If I need to call somebody and just like book those appointments for you,
Okay.
I would love to do that. You just let me know. That just sounds like so much fun and what a
Mm,
huge impact.
yeah. Well, it's fun. So I got sober. I was in a big drinking accident when I was 18. Sorority girl, drunk at a sorority party with fraternity party, and ended up in the ER. Didn't even know how I got there because I was so drunk, and dropped out of college and ended up in a 30-day alcohol rehab at 18. And I was told you should never drink again. And I was 18. I wasn't even 21 yet. And I'm thinking, okay, people, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life sober. I'll tell you that. But I'm a good student. I'll do your little rehab thing and I'll go to your little AA meetings and I'll, whatever. And yet
Oh, wow.
I really didn't like drinking that much. My pattern was if it was a St. Patrick's Day party, I was going to outdrink everybody. But otherwise, I didn't really care if it was just another Friday and another Saturday, another Friday. So sure enough, I ended up in the ER on St. Patrick's Day. Um, so it was easy for me to be sober, and it was part of me being a high achieving good student. So I thought, well, I can do this sober thing. And I actually grew to love it so much. I loved that I wasn't gaining weight. I loved that I wasn't spending money on alcohol. I loved that I could leave a party anytime I wanted to. I loved that I practiced being social when I was sober and everybody else was drunk. So it was really easy to practice being sober. I loved that I always felt great the next morning. And so, sure enough, in 1994, I had the same thought of like, I need to tell freshman sorority girls about how awesome it is to be sober in college. And so as a senior, I made up flyers. That's where I got this idea from. I made up flyers. I passed them all around the sororities I didn't have an email back then. I made a piece of paper and I handed it to them and I knocked on their doors. And I spoke at least
Wow.
five and one fraternity, I think, too. In 1994, I was the speaker, because sororities always have their meetings and they always have their speakers and they need new speakers. So I spoke on
Mhm.
why it's awesome to be sober in college when I was a senior. I loved it.
Wow. I'm going to share this one story. It's when I don't remember, sometime at the university, and right before one of those meetings, um, this girl came in with her boyfriend, and it was the day before she was going to go to rehab, and it was for needles and hard drugs. And she came in specifically, had all of us in the room, and said, whatever you do, never, ever, ever never snort, never do needles, never do powder, never do needles. I believe she saved my life. It was so impactful. Fast forward 30 years late, like just a few years ago, was having dinner with a friend, and she said, yeah, I had to have surgery for a deviated septum. And I said, what? I thought that was just for people that did coke. She's like, oh yeah, I did so much. We hung out all the
Wow.
time. As I started connecting with the people that I went to university with, college with, or hung out and partied with, or whatever, turned out pretty much they all did.
That
And
you,
it's a
yeah.
miracle. Not all, but a lot of it, I didn't, because of that one person who came into the house before a meeting, who said on the day before she was going to go to rehab,
Wow.
shared her experience,
Yeah.
shared her story, and it was so incredibly
Well,
impactful.
we all never know what power to impact others we have, for sure.
My life would have been so, so,
Yeah.
so different.
Mhm.
I know it would have, because I know my disposition, where I
Me,
like to do a lot.
me too.
I
Yeah.
like to go all out. I love to explore, and I probably would have been there. So I'm grateful. So I am in 1000% support, like, of everything that you're doing, and would love to see you on a national
Oh,
stage for
yes.
sororities.
Yeah, they need it. Yeah.
And I can see that. And I can see it. The fact that you're such a great
Mhm.
speaker on TEDx, right? You show that you're prepared, you're knowledgeable, you've already been through this journey. You know how to overcome. You have such a clarity on the big picture
Mm,
and the value. And there's such a huge need. I can completely see you practicing in the small houses,
thank
but
you.
being on that national stage for these young ladies.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. Anything else that you can share, you want to say, you want to practice saying?
If you don't think that you're the coolest person on earth, make that your mission this year.
I love that. Oh, I felt that right here. I felt that in my belly.
That's the word.
Oh, I love you. I can't wait to see
And
you
to
in 2 weeks.
and
I'm
to
like going to cry. That was
yes.
just
Awesome. Thank
beautiful.
you, Bettina. Thanks for
I
the
love you.
opportunity, and I'm congrats for making this happen.
Thank you for making it happen because it wouldn't happen if it weren't for you.